Bigfoot, Robert?
I'm a fan.
What about aliens?
Also, depending on how deep they're probing and for what purposes, usually support that shit.
How do you feel about conspiracy theories?
I'm a little iffier on that.
Because we might have one today.
Oh, yeah?
We might.
Really?
Possibly.
Exciting.
No one really knows.
I don't know.
Christopher, how do you feel about it?
I feel like since you're talking about it, that it is one. And we're going to do it.
You might be right.
I am.
All right, there you go. I just want to do a creepy intro.
Wow, was that creepy?
It wasn't.
Oh my God, how
actually.
do you define creepy?
It wasn't really creepy
That was
at all.
slightly like inscrutable.
A little
I'll give
bit.
you that.
Smidgen.
And I gotta say, I don't mean to like fucking sink your battleship. This is more of a mystery than a conspiracy.
Oh.
But there are hints of conspiracy in here.
Okay.
But this isn't like, the moon landing, which totally really did happen in the real world, and everyone's got to learn to deal with it, or other things.
Before we talk about the alleged moon, or as I call it, the fake moon.
Wow.
Before we go there, let's just say that you and I,
Yes.
last weekend had a phenomenal time at
We did.
MystiCon 2019.
It was a fucking punch-drunk ball, 9 hours straight of mystical mayhem. We met a lot of cool motherfuckers.
Yeah, we got
laughed
some
all fucking day.
We got some interviews coming up for our Patreon series over at patreon.com/Kryptonaut Podcast. We got, 3 interviews done, I think, or 2?
We got 2.
Well, 2
But
technically,
You
yeah.
condensed an interview.
I accidentally condensed
Mark
the interview.
absolutely invited 2 people over that I was fully intending to fucking interview separately. But you know what? It actually made it more fun.
Yeah, and then
so well
I was
done.
like, let's do it all together. It's fine. It's no
Just
big
come
deal.
here, you
Yeah, so
disparate flux.
shout outs to Renee who put the con on. It was super cool for her to have us. We was happy to be there. As we mentioned, we had a great
Oh
time.
yeah, dude, it was great. I had so much fun.
Not only was it in the mall that we've all talked about, and it's like the whole thing, like
Sure.
we fucking love the mall or whatever. But there was singing pirates.
There were.
There was dancing witches.
Absolutely.
It was Santa Claus Day.
It truly
And
was.
there was a fucking kickboxing tournament.
Which I called a review at one point.
Yeah, you called it Robert referred to it as the kickboxing review.
I
and I was
kind of thought it was
I didn't
like
know where to go with that.
an advanced, slightly more violent dance recital.
Yeah, it was but it was an awesome time. It was so cool. We got to see
the mall has never been cooler than that fucking day.
we got to see Matt and Mary from Unearthly Upstate, which is super cool.
Oh,
They
it was
came
so
by our
awesome.
table. Yeah,
Absolutely.
And they were talking with us. It was awesome. Thank you both so much for stopping by. A couple of the listeners stopped by too. We got a bunch of new listeners. So yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah, made
And-
friends, got some good interviews.
Yeah.
It really was a trip.
And also, too, before we get started, one quick pod story for me, because this was a personal moment of mine, that I got to run into Frank number 5 from one of my favorite podcasts, Tell 'em Steve Dave. And for those of you out there, so you fellow ants, you fellow TESD people out there, Frank 5 showed up out of nowhere, and I was blown the fuck away.
Tiny little hometown
Yeah.
mall. And you walk in with him. I thought it was a work buddy of yours.
Yeah, I'm like, look, it's Frank number 5. And Rob's like, who the fuck is Frank number 5? I'm like, it's Frank 5 from Tell 'em Steve Dave. Yeah, it was awesome to see Frank there. It was super cool. So, and actually, we gave him a bunch of pod stuff. We're like, oh, you should check it out. So hopefully, Frank 5, if you're listening, thank you. And if not,
Indeed.
maybe you'll listen in the future. You never know. And that was our rambling long intro.
That really was.
I am Mark Storrs, and with me as always is.
Crap.
And
Rob Morphy.
we have a special guest joining us for this episode. Special guest, please introduce yourself to our good listeners.
Hello, good listeners. I am Rob's niece, Peyton.
Peyton, welcome
You
to
may
the
have heard me
pod.
on the Patreon. you
Yes.
know.
Absolutely. The Closet Monsters.
That's
Peyton-
me.
Peyton made an appearance on the Closet
Yep.
Monsters. Yes, so you are
But
the
for
first-
non-patrons, I believe
Yes.
this is...
You are the first official guest, I guess, on a regular pod.
It is an
So-
honor.
Yeah,
Oh,
this is
well,
the
thank-
first time that it's not an Evil Science and Magic buddy. Mm-hmm. We have expanded the circle for my favoriteest niece in the whole wide world.
Thank you so very much for joining us, Peyton.
You're welcome.
So this week, like I said, this could possibly be going to conspiracy. We could be talking about big feet. We could be talking about aliens.
There's all
a
sorts of
lot.
shit going on.
I can't pronounce this word. We're going to try it.
All right.
Dyatlov.
You did it.
The Dyatlov Incident.
It is indeed.
It's not Dyatlov?
As you said all day,
Are you sure it's not Dyatlov?
it could be the Dyatlov Incident.
Christopher Dyatlov Dyatlov.
Well, how's it spelled?
Don't worry about that.
Phonetically, I would say Dyatlov.
Dyatlov. All right, fine. So it's not Delatov because there's no L in the beginning like that.
It's just not spelled like that.
Yeah,
Fine.
that's
It's
Whatever.
also not like the Mississippi incursion. It's
Okay.
also not many other words that it doesn't spell.
All right. Well, you know what? We're going to go with Dyatlov because apparently Delatov will not fly with this group.
No.
No.
Fine.
yeah.
First and foremost.
Yeah, it's a completely different word.
Look, I have a certain way of talking and reading. Okay, it's how I
Yeah,
live.
you say words that aren't real.
That's why Uncle Rob reads.
Exactly.
Oh, I fuck up plenty too, though.
Yeah, but I
Good
really.
Lord, no.
He makes no mistakes in my eyes.
Oh, bless your heart. See, the reverence of a niece.
That's
you
so
must love
nice.
it. You're the best. High five.
Woo! Oh, first pod high five.
Yeah, it really is.
All right, well,
we don't
let's-
high five nearly enough.
No, we should
No.
high five more, but it's loud in the mics and stuff like that, and
We'll try to keep it to a minimum.
We're gonna
from
knock
this
over.
point on.
We're gonna knock over beers and shit. So, all right. So let's get started with one of the most bizarre, not to mention flat out terrifying mysteries of the modern age. Concerns the enigmatic deaths of 9 young yet experienced Russian mountaineers whose cross-country skiing trip ended in a tragedy so ghastly and perplexing that it has mystified experts for over 6 decades.
Indubadilly.
Wow.
First try. Who got it?
You did.
I did.
You nailed it.
Dyatlov.
Oh my God, you stuck that landing so fucking hard.
Fucking yeah,
You're
I
a
better get-
Romanian gymnast of the 70s.
I do
You
have
are
that-
a master of your craft.
I have a body of a svelte Romanian gymnast. That I do not, but I got
That's
9.5.
Nadia
Yeah.
Comaneci.
All right, Robert, kick
And
it
here's
off.
the good thing. Pay, I don't think you've ever heard of this.
I have not.
So we've got a full, fresh newbie. So it's going to be fun to get
All right.
all sorts of feedback.
Cool.
Excursions into nature can be serene for some and exhilarating for others. But for an unfortunate few, these sojourns into the untouched wilds of our world can end in tragedy. But as catastrophic as some of these expeditions may be, there are a few which result in such unfathomably fear-provoking circumstances that they become the stuff of legend. Such is the destiny that befell 9 ill-fated skiing enthusiasts in the late 1950s. Unlike so many of the most intriguing mysteries of the 20th century, including the whereabouts of the missing Anjikuni villagers or the fate of the crew of the Orang Medan, 2 things that we covered, what makes the Dyatlov Pass incident so fascinating is that there is absolutely no doubt that these events actually occurred. And dreadfully little doubt that the last sensations experienced by these poor souls were induced by a desperate need to survive and fueled by abject terror.
We're dealing with terror.
Abject.
Abject.
The proof of this tragedy exists not only in the plethora of photographs that have been preserved, but also in the extensive records, many of which are still classified, of the former Soviet military who investigated the odd case and were manifestly unable to reach any definitive conclusions despite an overwhelming amount of physical evidence.
Talking 1950s Russia.
Old school.
Old school Russia.
Like thick of the Cold
This is the
War.
shit we were taught to fear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you guys lived it. I wasn't around. I mean, I was,
Well, you
but
were.
not really. But
I
you
mean, you
guys
were born
like,
in 80.
you guys were like doing drills and shit in school for the Cold War, right?
Well, when I was a kid, I actually went to a parochial school, as Chris did, though it was a different one. And we had nuclear fire drills, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, we
and
had
so
some-
we had to go to the hallways,
Yeah.
crouch down,
Yeah.
put our heads between our legs, and line up against the walls, as if somehow, I don't know, your ass is safer from radiation like a wombat.
It is.
Yeah,
It just-
apparently.
yeah,
Your
just so that you
asses
don't-
filter the heat.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, that and then when your schoolmates are eviscerated next to you, you won't see it coming. So you're like, I'm fine, and then you're just killed.
I suppose the only hope was that if it was like, say, dropped far enough away, the walls might prevent you from getting other shit collapsing on you.
Yeah, you're just gonna probably die.
Yeah, no, it sucks.
But whatever.
It was a fucking nightmare.
All right, well, fucking.
But it did
you
give
know
us
what?
Rocky IV and White Knights with Baryshnikov and Gregory
true.
Hines. Rest in peace.
There,
So,
R.I.P.
yeah,
Gregory Hines.
no doubt. But this is the late 50s. On January 25th, 1959, 1 ski instructor, 3 engineers, and 7 students from the former Soviet Union's Ural Polytechnic Institute, not sure what that is. It sounds fucking boss as shit.
Polytechnics,
Multiple technologies.
multiple technics.
I guess.
All right, cool.
Located in the city then known as Sverdlovsk, boarded a train and embarked on a journey to the nearby Ortoten mountain range, which is nestled in the northern Urals, for a strenuous cross-country skiing expedition.
It sounds like a lot.
Yeah, I'm just tired reading it.
Yeah, no.
that's
I
like
can't
you're going on
imagine-
trains and shit, and then you're gonna go skiing.
And then they had
cross
to, like,
country.
ride on horseback. It's an
Cross
involved
country's
process.
not. Have you ever been cross country skiing?
Yeah, it's not skiing.
It's
You have
not.
to-
No,
You're
it's
power
work.
walking.
You're
Yeah.
power in the
On
snow. It
skis.
sucks.
It was fun. It was not.
Yeah, no,
No, it's not fun.
no.
You've
Jim-
done both, right, Peg?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
a pretty avid
Downhill is
skier.
much better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
downhill fucking
Yeah.
rules.
Because you just
I would,
stand
yeah. I'd take the 3 concussions I got downhill skiing over 1 hour of cross country skiing.
cross country.
Well, gravity,
Bullshit.
God bless it, is your ally completely in that
Yeah,
case.
it is.
No. Just get a snow boot. I don't know.
Get a snow boot.
Get a snow
Get a
boot.
snow. Just one?
Just one.
Hop your way to the Earls.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
The leader of this excursion was an enthusiastic 23-year-old by the name of Igor Dyatlov, the man for whom the notorious pass would eventually be named, who had assembled a crack team of co-ed skiers with the intention that this arduous trip would serve as a training exercise for a future expedition to the more difficult and treacherous Arctic regions.
So
that is ballsy.
They're just going to the Arctic?
Yeah, they're gonna. First off, they're gonna go into a godforsaken fuck all in the Ural Mountains,
Right.
And that's their training exercise to, I don't know, cross country ski Antarctica.
With like polar bears
I
and
don't
shit?
get it.
It's too much.
I'm happy that my friends will not do this to me.
Oh,
Thank
no.
you. Thank you.
No.
Thank you all.
Up for the challenge and eager for days of strenuous skiing and nights of revelry with dear friends, the small coterie of comrades could not have imagined that, for all but one, they were entering the last days of their young lives.
Dun, dun, dun.
Foreshadowing. As the group of seasoned skiers left the train station and hopped a truck headed toward their very own Alpine in the Urals, as it was called, one of the team members, Yuri Yudin, fell ill, much to his chagrin, and was forced to remain behind at the settlement in Vizhai, which was the last outpost before the Ortoten Range. Scarcely could he have known at the time that he would be the lucky one. Later in life, Yudin would sorrowfully claim that the one thing which had haunted him most over the ensuing years was not being able to discover what kind of diabolical force stole the lives of his buddies, a fate which he would have shared were it not for his unexpected illness. According to Yudin, if I had a chance to ask God just one question, it would be, what really happened to my friends that night? 2 days after embarking on their adventure, the 9 remaining athletes, including engineers Rustem Slobodom, Grigory Krivonishenko, Nicholas Thibault Brignolel, I think I said that right,
You're good.
as well as students Yuri Doroshenko, Zinadja Kolmogorova, and Ludmila Dubnina, and ski instructor and guide Alexander Zolotarev, all followed Dyatlov toward the first stop in their long and grueling journey, the Goro Ortoten Mountain, a place whose name literally means, and I shit you not, don't go there.
I mean, that's a big fucking red flag.
Like, here's the thing. In 1959, they didn't have the benefit of early 80s slasher films. But
Well, yeah, but
we all learned quick, if the old man at the gas station's like, you're all going to die up there, you
You're
turn
gonna
that
die.
fucking van around
Yeah, that's right.
and you go party somewhere else.
Yeah.
You do not go to Camp Crystal Lake or wherever the fuck you were
it
going.
was Crystal Lake, yeah.
You just don't do it.
But when the mountain range means don't go there,
Literally.
it's in your native tongue. You know what it means. If there was a pond that was like don't come here, we're gonna be like, oh, we're fucking not going to don't come here pond. Well, I mean, actually, I guess maybe we would go there.
Literally,
I mean,
it just might mean don't come here.
Don't come here.
Yeah.
Like, keep it in your pants, Dick.
Oh wow!
Wow,
Oh,
yeah.
get spicy.
Keep
Get
it classy.
spicy.
Well, I guess that would
a little
depend
bit of
how it's
spice,
spelled.
a little bit of spice, a little spice.
Yeah.
So maybe if it's called don't go here, don't go there.
Don't go
Just
there.
don't.
Don't
like,
do it.
Red flag number 1.
Yeah.
All right, first red flag of the pod.
Fair enough.
Let's do it.
There'll be multiple.
All right, good.
The date was January 28th, 1959. The team would never make it to their destination, and none of them would ever be seen alive again. On February 11th, 1959, the Dyatlov ski team was supposed to arrive in Vizhai. Among their first orders of business following a hot meal and a stiff drink were to send their loved ones telegrams announcing the success of their mission.
Yeah, there's no iPhones or any of that
Oh,
bullshit.
no, that
you
makes
guys
it
have
all
telegrams?
scary.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking,
Telegrams,
it's not even like a
doves.
long distance like
Doves.
landline. Doves,
Release
exactly.
the Russian dove. Is that a
Where's the
thing?
homing pigeon?
Oh,
No,
I'm
they
sorry.
probably have owls.
Oh, the Russian
the
owl.
Siberian
Yeah.
owl transit.
The Russian shows up, and the Russian owl shows up and gives you the translation
Oh
and
my God.
shit. That'd be
Dementors.
fucking yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
dope.
Now you're just going to Hogwarts.
Well,
But I do like the
I like
fucking
it.
the Siberian Owl Express.
Yeah, that's dope.
Fuck the ponies.
So that they have to actually send straight up fucking telegrams.
Yeah.
I won't ask, but someone explain to me how you send a telegram.
Morse code, I think.
I don't know.
well how
Is
do
it
you
ham
even do
radio?
one
It's-
from the
it's a
middle of
series
nowhere?
Well, the wires are there.
Okay.
But they clearly, I guess, in this very remote area, didn't have phone wires.
It's just gross.
So it's just a
Just
series
gross.
of beeps and dashes.
It's just gross.
And you have to say stop after every sentence, which is fucking frustrating.
So you're like, "Hi, Rob. Stop."
Do you know
going
Morse
on?
code?
Stop.
Morse code?
I do not know Morse code.
No.
I just have seen enough westerns
So
to
when
know
we're
how
all
telegrams
when we're all
look
trapped
like.
in a room and we have to use it, we're fucked.
Oh, we're fucked.
Yeah, we're just gonna be
Yeah.
tapping out fucking Slayer
Nothing.
songs.
Gibberish. Yeah.
Just do Angel of Death and you'll be okay.
When no telegrams were received, most of the team's family members were not overly concerned, realizing that journeys like this rarely end on schedule. But when over a week went by with no word from the skiers, their relatives began to demand that the Earl Polytechnic Institute organize a search and rescue operation, which they did post-haste.
Well, that's
to their
nice.
credit.
They came through. They have multiple technics, polytechnics. And they're like, hey, let's use these technics to go find these people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Within days, it became clear that the Institute's ground-based initiative was unable to produce any results on their own, and that was when both military and civilian authorities got involved in the search. Military planes and helicopters were swiftly dispatched to the area, and it would be on February 25th that the pilot first spotted something curious on the mountainside below. The next day, the search party, including fellow Polytechnic student Mikhail Sherevin, made their way up to an abandoned encampment on the eastern slope of a mountain, which at the time was listed only as 1079. The foreboding peak is better known to the indigenous Mansai tribes as Kholat Sakal, which sounds fucking Klingon, and perhaps prophetically is translated from their native tongue as Mountain of the Dead.
Dude, you got the don't go there pond
yeah,
and the fucking
no.
Mountain of the Dead? What the fuck, man?
So I think that's officially our second red
The
flag.
fucking quarry of severed heads? Like, what the
quarry
fuck? Yeah.
of severed
Don't
heads.
do it.
Yes, you don't go there.
Again, maybe because they didn't have the we grew
Well-
up with
well, they-
with Freddy and Jason,
exactly.
so we know, like, don't
We are a
dream.
much savvier group,
Because of Freddy and
because
Jason
of horror
and
films.
Leatherface, basically.
We learned from Stephen King and Edgar
Yeah.
Allan Poe. If you want to go back, you learn from Edgar Allan Poe. Don't pork someone else's wife. Don't fucking murder somebody and put them in the fucking floor if you can't fucking have the man enough balls not to hear the heartbeat.
Yeah, exactly. When you murder someone in your floor, you have to hear
You
that
gotta
heart.
you gotta be cold.
Yeah.
You can't be all fucking panicky and weird.
No, you just
Yeah.
you just be cool. Don't be a fucking ass about it. Just like, there's the heart. I killed him. I don't care. Cold as life.
Nothing.
There you go.
Cold as life.
Needless
Cold
to
as
say,
life.
these poor kids
It's a
were
cool
not
band.
cold as life. Is it really?
They're an awesome band. as a
Oh,
matter of
bless your
fact,
heart. Okay. The would-be rescuers discovered a badly damaged tent and footprints that seemed to belong to the 9 skiers radiating out from the devastated structure. Sherevin then described the state of the large canvas tent that the expedition all shared. So all 9 were just in this one
All 9, all packed in one tent.
body heat.
Well, it's
We
true.
discovered that the tent was half torn down and covered with snow. It was empty, and all the group's belongings and shoes had been left behind. I don't know if that's a red flag, but that's certainly
Well, when you see a pile of shoes,
that's a
Yeah,
bad
that's
scene.
weird.
yeah, because
That's
you're
weird.
you're in the snow.
Yeah,
Because what?
On Death Mountain,
'Cause
you're
what?
fucking don't come near me pond. You're fucked.
fair enough.
Yeah.
To their shock, the search party members quickly realized that all of the tracks consisted of either bare or sock-clad feet, and in one case, a single shoe.
Oh, the old one shoe
The old
maneuver.
one
We all
shoe,
been there.
yeah.
We've all been walking with one shoe, like, not good.
2 sets of prints led down a slope toward a densely forested area, but the tracks were covered by snow roughly 1,500 feet away from the tent. Sherevin followed the trail and found the remains of a fire beneath a looming ancient pine, and with it, something much more disturbing. Near the long-dead fire were the frozen remains of team members Yuri Doroshenko and Grigory Krivonishenko. The search party noted with utter bewilderment that even though the men were both shoeless and naked and well within range of the now ravaged tent, they had evidently made no effort to return to the structure. The investigators also noted that the branches of the old pine had been snapped off to a height of almost 15 feet. Forensic tests later confirmed that traces of skin were found embedded in the bark, indicating that the pair had frantically attempted to climb the tree, snapping off branches until their hands were a mess of pulpy flesh.
Poppy Flash.
The
So they're
worst.
just naked trying to climb a tree.
Naked,
Like they-
Naked,
shoeless.
shoeless.
Yeah, that's just...
If you're naked but you got your shoes, you're okay.
Well, isn't that implied with nakedness?
No, you can be naked and
Shoeless?
still
Yeah,
have
you're
shoes.
Right. You're right.
Yeah, come
You're right.
on.
Yeah, if your feet get cold.
Yeah, but you're like, I'm a free spirit. Fuck it. I'm a Russian on a
Yeah.
fucking
True.
expedition from the Polytechnic
I'm
Institute of
mostly
Don't Come
free
Here
spirit.
Mountain. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Don't look at me, pond.
yeah, the
Don't
Corey
look
of
at me.
9 severed heads. Yeah, exactly.
So their hands just
They're
Tore up.
Tore
they're
up?
gross.
Tore up
yeah,
from
they're
climbing
just
trees.
Climbing
Ugh.
trees. Nasty.
fucking trees.
This is why.
I love trees though.
Well, no one's blaming the tree.
I know.
I mean, I'm not
Listen,
saying the tree didn't do it.
I don't
but I'm
blame-
just saying.
Did we find a new
I don't
a
know.
new
Yeah.
suspect?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
that
You
was
remember
never thought
those
of?
trees
The
from
pine?
Yeah.
what was that movie? The trees were really mean in
The Happening?
Wizard of Oz.
Oh, they were dicks.
Was that a
Oh,
dream?
yeah.
Yeah.
That was real. That wasn't a fever dream.
And there was like a small person that hung
No, he picked
themselves.
the apple, and the tree was like,
Yeah.
Oh, he was all fucking. He was
So
a dick
they-
about
"You
it.
took my apple,
They got murdered
doodly-dee."
by an apple tree. The
See?
DNA is all over the tree. It's
All
there.
right, pot over. Fuck trees.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fair
there you
enough.
go. Sorry,
Yeah.
all you.
Peyton, way to go. Solve the mystery.
You solved the Dyatlov fucking mystery.
Easy.
I knew it would take a fresh pair of eyes.
Yeah.
Well played.
It was the trees.
Well played.
It was the trees.
At this point, the searchers no doubt began to wonder what manner of beast could have scared these experienced outdoorsmen so much that they abandoned their clothes despite the freezing cold and tore the skin from their palms in a desperate bid to climb to safety. The fact that there was no evident animal tracks and that they had the time to try and start a fire, combined with the fact that the bodies of the men remained untouched by any predators or scavengers, only heightened the searchers' puzzlement.
So even like the vulture, not I guess not vultures, but like the local fauna is not going to come and like start ripping at all the soft
Well, they
parts and
should've.
shit. Yeah, they should have, but they
I
didn't.
mean, yeah.
Because they were scared
Of the trees. Oh, see,
Makes
this
sense.
is where the Lord of the Rings comes in. Christopher, tell
When a
us about
tree,
the Lord
when
of
a
the
tree
Rings.
kills you, you're the tree's property.
Treebeard.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The Jeffrey Dahmer of Treebeards.
The fox nose.
Oh,
not
When
yeah,
you
that
die,
could
you
be.
can
the
go
tree.
in. You can be made into a tree.
I know you can totally. I mean, I don't want to be because I don't like trees.
like when you
but-
die. So you're like, make me into a tree. You know?
Are you talking about like a next life? You just choose to be a tree?
No, like
no,
your
no, no,
ashes. They
no.
like plant you in a tree and you got like a fucking rob tree.
Yeah. They make you into a tree. I don't really know. I just know it's a thing. I'm gonna be a cactus.
You threw me off with the make me into a tree. I
They-
wasn't sure
they
like if
use
they molded your
your-
carcass.
Yeah, no,
What
not,
do they
not
use?
in that way.
What do
Yeah,
they use? Your ashes?
Yeah, you're just
Put you in a tree.
So you're basically
Yeah.
tree fertilizer.
Yes,
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
exactly.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I don't
Maybe
know.
that's how they
The
get
tree
their
needed
emotions.
fertilizer.
I'm gonna be put
They
with
do.
my dog's ashes and launched out of a cannon into the alleged moon. Hopefully, so we'll see.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
You don't have the money for that.
Of course I don't.
I was gonna
but
be a
I can start
cactus.
saving now.
Yeah, indeed. I know. Life goals.
Well,
You're gonna be a cactus, really?
All right.
yeah.
All right, cool.
Tree accusations aside,
Tree bears aside.
we've got 2 semi-nude men, the remnants of a fire,
No
scavenger
Nothing's
marks on their
eating them,
bodies.
nothing.
They could have made it back to the tent. They didn't. Just one of the many.
Maybe they were on acid.
Could be.
Wow, nailed it.
We'll say
Second
we got some theories.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, we got theories.
Not long after the party found the bodies of Yuri and Georgie, they stumbled across the corpse of team leader Igor Dyatlov nearly 300 meters away from the other cadavers, but even closer to the tent. So as close as the other 2 guys were, Igor is even closer.
Right.
Igor was on his back, one hand clinging to an undersized birch tree branch, while his other was frozen to the back of his head as if protecting it from some unknown assailant.
Oh, it's nasty.
And if it's
Just
there
your
long
hands
enough to just
frozen,
freeze,
you reach,
like
yeah.
you die.
You
Oh.
die in that weird like fucking
Frozen.
rigor mortis hits, and you're just like, "Ugh," and you're in a fucked up
Well,
position.
their bodies might have been preserved because they were frozen.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Not far from the tent was the body of Rustam Slobodin, which rescuers found lying face down in the snow. Rustam's skull bore a deep fracture nearly 7 inches long, but despite the severe injury, medical experts later determined that the most likely cause of death was hypothermia, which only compounded the bewilderment of the volunteer and military search party participants.
That's kind of weird. 7-inch gash in your fucking skull, but you
Yeah.
die.
But you're still dying of
Yeah,
freezing.
yeah.
Well, it's all right.
Flesh
maybe-
wound.
Yeah.
Yeah, a 7-inch flesh wound to your head.
The carcass of Zinadja Kolmogorov was turned up the furthest away from the group. Traces of blood were found near her corpse, yet it was not revealed if she was its source. Despite the grievous injuries found on Rustam and Zinadja, the increasingly confounded search party members could find no evidence of a struggle. The rescuers diligently continued their efforts, but after a lengthy search, they could not find any trace of the remaining members of the team. The men on the site could not comprehend why a group of experienced skiers would dash half naked into the bitter cold of an exposed mountaintop in the black of night, nor could they fathom the degree of horror that must have inspired these youths to act so recklessly. Even more perplexing was the fact that the searchers, after inspecting the heavily damaged tent, came to the conclusion that the material had been cut and torn from the inside, as if its occupants were so frantic to escape that simply unclasping the tent was not an option.
The cuts were coming from inside the tent.
Exactly.
Yeah. On Death,
Wow.
was it Skull Mountain or whatever, right? Snake Pit
Death
Mountain.
I think they're on. Well, no, they were heading towards the Mountain of the Dead, but ended up on Don't Go There Hill.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
So I think that's how it works.
Guillotine Way.
The path of the guillotine.
Oh, you're shink.
Yeah, as you're walking. Fucking heads everywhere. Fucking Guillotine Way sucks.
Yeah, just north of Impaler's
Worst
Gorge.
path
You know,
Yeah, there you
ever.
go. Yeah, totally.
it was all
right.
same general area.
Guillotine Way.
The tattered tent offered no additional clues, but amidst the broken wood and shredded canvas, investigators made a discovery that they hoped would shed light on the whole tragic affair. 2 rolls of undeveloped film and the journals of a few of the expedition members. But rather than helping to illuminate the truth, these finds would only add more layers to this already dense mystery.
At this point, you find the bodies, but then you see there's a roll of film and there's a journal, but this is just going to lead almost indefinitely to just a realm of what the fuck did we come across?
Well, that's what the key to this
yeah.
is more than anything else. Because it is essentially a true crime story.
Yeah.
That might have some inexplicable shit, and of course we'll
We
get
don't
to
know.
that as we always
The
do.
moon might not be real. We don't know yet.
But, god damn it. But so far all you have is a series of sort of inexplicable facts.
Yeah.
Right.
This is all
That's
facts.
it.
Which is
Yeah.
why I think people, I guess, are so intrigued by it.
All right.
After 2 months of fruitless searching, the spring thaw finally set in, and on May 4th, 1959, the weather let up enough to reveal the corpses of the missing team members in a ravine situated some 225 feet from the pine that had served as an arboreal memorial to Yuri and Georgie. The remaining expedition members, including instructor Alex Zolotaryov, engineer Nicholas Thibault Brignoel, and students Alexander Kolvatov and Ludmila Dubnina, were found buried beneath 12 feet of snow and ice. All had apparently succumbed to internal injuries. Unlike their friends who had perished above, these victims were fully dressed.
And they died from internal injuries?
Some
So
serious
either
ones.
crushed by the snow and shit, or they just got the fuck beat out of them.
Exactly.
Oof.
Well,
Okay,
possible.
This is getting weird.
Possible avalanche
Could be
material.
an avalanche. Yeah, you're right. Guillotine Way full of avalanches and heads
And guillotines.
and guillotines.
It's possible.
And then the sound of
Freddy Krueger's.
Freddy Krueger's, multiple Freddy Krueger's.
Winter Krueger's.
All
Trees.
winter- Yeti Kruger's.
Yeti Kruger's. Oh, the Yeti
The
Kruger's.
worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wendy Kruger.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's fucking Winter Kruger.
As in the case of Rustum, Nicholas's skull showed evidence of having been struck by a heavy blow. Alexander and Ludmila's chests had been crushed inward, shattering several ribs and causing massive internal damage.
What a fucking way to go.
Oh.
You get your chest crushed and you're just fucking suffocating.
Gasping,
Oh,
drowning in
shit.
your own blood.
Man, that sounds like a fucking Cannibal Corpse record. I like it. I want to hear it.
Dr. Boris Vozrozdeny, who inspected the bodies, stated that the force with which these corpses were hit exceeded that capable by a man, and went on to claim that the damage was equal to the effect of a car crash.
Whoa.
Other doctors would confirm that all 4 died of injuries consistent with traffic accidents. Yeah.
Okay.
No roads, middle
There's
of
no
nowhere.
traffic on Danger Mountain.
You don't know that? Skull Mountain could have plenty of trucks.
It's a skull avalanche.
Skull avalanche.
Skull
Yeah,
avalanche.
it's an avalanche of trailers. An avalanche of Volvos.
I thought it would be skulls
I can't. What's a
based
Russian
on the
car?
name.
Yeah.
The Russians have cars. What's a Russian
They
car?
surely do.
What is
I
it?
don't know.
The Black Vulcan?
It's all Black Vulcans.
Okay, it's an avalanche
A
of Black
parade
Vulcans.
of Black Vulcans. I think that's how the legend of that nefarious car got
There
started.
you go. Yeah, cool. All right.
But there were no indications of what may have actually caused the critical trauma, and even more inexplicably, the body showed no signs of bruising or soft tissue damage. The men who found Ludmilla were alarmed to see her head tilted back, her mouth stretched wide as if emitting a silent scream. Upon closer inspection, the rescuers realized that her tongue had apparently been torn out by the root.
Ooh.
Big fun.
Yeah. Or maybe an animal came and ate it. Whoa.
By the root?
Yeah.
It would have to be.
Fucking root crows and shit coming
Root
down.
crows.
Eating it. Fucking gnawing on it.
The vicious root crow.
Fucking peel your face off mountain. Yeah.
Exactly.
It worked.
They also noted that at some point the victims had either exchanged or stolen the clothing off their comrades, as Ludmilla's foot was found swaddled in a tattered piece of Georgie's wool pants, and Alex was found wearing Ludmilla's faux fur hat and coat. Little trade party.
I mean, maybe they
Little
were
clothes.
like, if you wear your shit, I'll wear my shit. And let's go back and forth trading clothes. Just maybe
Or
stay
they
warm.
Just grabbed whatever they did really
Or-
quickly before they left.
That's true too.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like my idea of a fun, frolicking before you die party of trading clothes with friends.
Yeah.
Be
Fashion
fun.
party.
Yeah, I grab Rob's
What else is
pants, you
there
guys
to
my
do?
shirt, I get your hat.
No
You take my
one gets
shoes?
my hat.
I want to wear. Okay, fine. I want to wear your hat. Why trade
Oh, you don't
pants?
share hats with your friends?
No.
When you're about to die?
No.
Some friend.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah, Chris is just in his underwear and his hat.
I give you
Yeah,
my hat.
What hat?
One of the ones I have.
You're not wearing a
All right,
hat.
well,
I
we're-
might
yeah.
be.
But are you?
You don't know that.
I don't.
That was the dumbest
Logic.
conversation that ever happened.
The searchers were unsure if this was merely the result of dressing too swiftly in the dark, as Chris suggested,
out, yes.
or a case of scavenging articles of clothing from dead teammates. Probably a combination of both.
I mean,
Okay.
if your boys are down, but
mean, that's
the shit can still be
disrespectful.
used, you got to
Yeah.
do it. If I go down, you guys take my shit.
Yeah, if you don't need that
One of you
hoodie.
guys figure out who wants my phone. Probably
Can I have
Chris.
your phone?
You're not with us on the expedition yet. You
Yes,
will be
I
there
am.
eventually. Okay, technically you are fine. So if you want my phone, you and Chris got to talk about that.
Why
Can I
am
have
I
your
not in
beard?
the running?
If you don't like smartphones,
You're right.
It's not your jam.
You'd look good at Mark's beard.
Can I have your beard?
If you want to cut it from my dead face, sure.
Well, I would.
I don't know what you're gonna do. You're
Yeah.
gonna put you're gonna cut my face and wear it like
Ed
you
Gein?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly
you're
what
gonna
I was
Ed Gein it?
thinking. Yeah.
You could be the new Mark.
Yeah.
Wow.
Your face would be so warm.
I can't fucking
Oh
read.
my
I got a
God.
drinking problem. I got a RAM.
I'm the new dad.
Oh, I'm taking the Ram.
So you can take the RAM. There you
Yeah.
go.
Do
Good,
it.
luck- good luck
Well,
with
if you
that.
have the face, you have to have the truck.
Yeah. Don't worry. That payment ain't too bad.
At the funerals that soon followed the discovery of the bodies, family members claimed that the skin of the deceased bore an unnatural orange color. And even more disturbingly, most reports insist that the hair had lost its pigmentation and what remained was a dull shade of gray.
Well,
Now, in all fairness to this,
they were corpses in the snow for a while.
exactly.
So-
an orangish burn when you're spent months, if not at least weeks,
Yeah,
frozen.
like in possibly like in some sort of decay, and like
And
no
there
blood
also
flow.
might be a smidge of embellishment, or at least
Maybe a little bit.
second and third hand reports from funerals. So this I take with a grain of salt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you got to take everything sort of, but
Well, right.
skeptics claim that the orange skin, if it existed at all, was caused by exposure and that the hair had not lost its color. But it's interesting that so many of the bereaved relatives took the time to at least ostensibly note these strange features.
Right.
As if all this were not bizarre enough, articles of clothing found on the newly recovered bodies were measured by scientists as emitting much higher than normal levels of radiation.
Okay.
The agents in charge of the investigation were flummoxed. It seemed that the more clues they managed to unearth, the more outlandish the entire situation became.
All right. Well, we got some radiation. That's not good.
Now,
No.
at the time it was suggested that it was either radiation that fell from the sky,
Okay.
skydiation,
Sky. Yes, it happens.
Okay.
The sky spits radiation.
or
every day.
if somehow these individuals were exposed to it. But this is a fact worth noting. Two of the people worked where radiation was pretty prevalent. Like one of the guys worked in a place where they manufactured plutonium.
Like Chernobyl or some shit.
Well, pre that, but
Right.
still. So I think even though it's
Yeah.
unique and it might represent part of the mystery,
There could be a
that's
connection, yeah.
possibly explicable.
I feel like that's a pretty decent.
explanation.
If you work in a,
It's
if-
more
in
than
a fucking-
possible.
in a plutonium
It's pretty decent.
canning factory, then yeah, you're gonna
But
be
you know
exposed
what?
to it.
Wash your fucking clothes occasionally.
But that shit gets in your skin, dude. You're fucked.
Yeah, you're totally fucked.
Yeah, you're just fucking emitting radiation constantly.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can take a certain level and still be functional.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's a certain level of radiation in the environment that's just normal.
Right.
So,
This was higher than that.
okay, well,
Yeah. The youth and popularity of the victims, combined with the compounding enigmas surrounding their brutal demise, sent Soviet investigators into overdrive. The first thing they did was try to reconstruct the series of events that led to the ski team's shocking end with the help of the journals and the film rolls discovered at the scene. The first of the many mysteries that faced them was why Dyatlov had chosen to make camp on an exposed mountain face when a detour of less than a mile would have afforded them some shelter from the harsh Russian elements. It would be Yuri Yudin, the only member to survive thanks to his timely illness, who would shed light on this question, stating, Dyatlov probably did not want to lose the distance they had covered, or he had decided to practice camping on the mountain slope, of course, in preparation for facing the fuck-sucking Arctic.
yeah, but yeah, all right, yeah, but pick your spots, maybe, a little bit better. Just saying.
It would, well, see,
Well, you can't now.
now we're Monday morning survivors.
Well, yeah, I'm
At
armchair.
the time, it might have seemed like a perfectly fine
I'm
place to perch.
armchair
Yeah.
surviving things. This is what I do.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
It's easy to say 70 years in the future.
With your iPhone and your insulated boots, your Carhartts and your Dodge Ram Bighorn.
dryers.
Your blow dryers, yeah.
The journals and photos developed from the rolls of film found in the tent revealed that the skiers had set up camp on February 2nd and at about 5 p.m. on the slope of the Kholat Sakal in order to get out of the inclement weather. The group had cleared the tree line and was just 10 miles from their first destination on their long trek to Gora Orten. In the photos, they all looked healthy and jovial.
Well, that's good, but they didn't end up that way.
They died.
They did.
Yes, they did.
Thank you.
On the mountain
Thank
of
you,
death.
Peyton. Thank you for the recap on cut my face off and wear it for your own mountain.
In case anyone wasn't listening.
Yep.
It's good. No, it's good to have somebody. That's why you're getting the 4.0s, baby. That's
Yeah,
why I'm
that's
proud
right.
of you.
That's why you were crushing it in college.
Yeah.
Investigators, awesome, came to the conclusion that sometime around 7 p.m., the team ate a meal and not long thereafter began to settle down for the night. The temperature on the slope was about 5 degrees Fahrenheit, which has always made investigators wonder why it was that so many of the skiers were in a state of undress. I find that less mysterious. They're alone. They're all in one tent. They're young.
Oh, orgies, yeah.
How much cutting loose can you do in fucking Khrushchev's Russia?
Yeah.
You're going to
Yeah.
fucking get vodka'd up and you're going to
Go to the mountain and
switch clothes, pork it up,
Get
Yeah.
crazy.
keep warm
or
in the
you
only
get,
old-fashioned way you can in Siberia.
or you got hypothermia and
Yeah.
you start taking your clothes off because don't people do that when they get hypothermia? They get all fucked up, disoriented.
Oh, yeah, what do they call that?
Forget. I don't want to ruin the fucking.
It's something called like ironic stripping, but it's not that.
Ironic
But
stripping.
ironic
but there really
stripping.
is a phrase for when people get so cold they
yeah,
get hot.
it's something to do with.
It is definitely
it's
not
something to do
ironic
with,
stripping.
It's something to do with. That might be our next podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
With grammatically uncomfortable weasel, which is coming soon.
oh man,
That's coming
you,
soon.
you said you have a plan for it. And I don't know what
we
it
have
is.
a plan for the show.
Do
the
we?
patrons might be getting it first. We'll see. But that's trademark 2019 Mark, Chris, and Rob, Evil Science and Magic Buddies, LLC, KryptonautPodcast.com. Whatever we need to
You're
say.
just saying words now.
Yeah. Grammatically uncomfortable weasel. Coming soon.
Wow.
But yes, ironic stripping, when you apparently hit a certain level of hypothermia, you take your clothes
get
off.
hot, you
There's
strip.
a term for it. You know
There is
what?
a real one.
I bet you Chuck Quilty will know the term.
He may well.
Chuck knows what it is. Chuck, what up? Let us know what it is.
I love that we turn it. That he's our fucking living dictionary.
Poor Chuck Quilty is
I know.
our guy.
Bless his heart.
We need one.
You're a saint, Chuck
Hey-
Quilty.
Oh, Rob, you were kind of close.
Oh, wait a minute.
Paradoxical undressing.
There it is.
yeah.
It's
Ironic
really-
stripping.
Yeah.
It's
Paradoxical
really not that
undressing.
different.
Nice. All right.
See,
It's
but I
not.
like to add the little twist of irony.
Yeah.
You know, because you shouldn't be naked. It's cold.
All right. Well, you know what, Chuck?
Ergo.
Give us your take on paradoxical undressing and tell me about math. Because
That's
I
it.
need
that
it.
makes sense too.
There you go.
Absolutely. Okay. Whatever their reasons may have been, most researchers agree that at this point, everything was proceeding normally. Forensic pathologists later estimated that the events which ultimately led to the untimely deaths of the skiers must have occurred sometime between 9:30 and 11:30 p.m. They based this theory on the undigested food found in the stomachs of the victims. Science.
Yeah.
At this point, military investigators began trying to piece this puzzle together. What follows is, in their best estimation, what occurred. So here's the timeline as assembled by the Soviet officials that were in charge. Investigators speculated that sometime before midnight on February 2nd, the skiers were frightened by an unknown event. That's the key. Members of the team managed to cut or rip through the fabric of the tent in a frantic attempt to escape whatever might have been attacking or approaching them, and in their haste, they burst out into the icy night, mostly unclothed and in a state of sheer panic.
Naked and afraid.
That's the way.
Well, that's kind of what we're thinking.
Yeah, that's it.
Being experienced skiers and mountaineers, the group must have been fully aware of the fact that they would not be able to survive long in the cold without protection. This indicated that the team must have been convinced that they were facing mortal danger and had opted to flee for their lives. But this is where it takes an interesting twist. Some of the reports I've read at this point suggest that even though they obviously fled the tent, destroying their only real source of surviving, really, their only shelter, that once they were outside, they walked away at a fairly calm pace. Like, it was like the frantic footsteps. I don't know how you judge that, but let's just assume detectives can do this.
Okay.
And then after that, just a calm walking away.
Just walking.
But they didn't try to salvage, get their clothes back on, put their fucking shoes on. They continued to go away, but not in that same blind panic with which they tore their way out of the tent. Yet another aspect
Naked
of the
and afraid, then like everything's fine.
but not because you still are basically committing suicide by walking out into the oblivion, half barefoot, sock clad, whatever, in your skivvies.
Okay.
The generally bare tracks found deep in the snow implied that the team had initially scrambled outward in all directions, but they managed to rejoin one another down the incline about 900 feet away from the now shredded tent. So that's a fucking long way to walk, calmly and easily, away from survival.
Yeah. After you rip out of there, half naked.
Yeah.
Weird. Okay.
Investigators then surmised that the group then huddled for safety beneath the large pine that Yuri and Georgie had so desperately tried to ascend. At this point, the guys with the pulpy, fucked up hands.
The no hands guys?
Yeah. At this point, it was speculated that an attempt was made by teammates to share clothes. But the various states of undress that so many of the victims were found in would seem to indicate that some articles were taken posthumously. Other evidence pointed to the fact that the group who, for reasons unknown, were too terrified to return and attempt to repair the tent, which would have been their only real option for survival, had instead remained exposed to the elements and managed to gather up enough kindling to start a fire.
Okay, well, they're getting their resources together and trying to get some fire happening. That makes sort of sense.
Yeah, well, you're less than 1,000 feet away from the tent with the homemade wood stove and the whole 9 yards.
Unless, I mean, if you get that fucking just disoriented, I guess.
I get that, and I know we're going to get into the theory portion, and I know one of them is, you get panicked, you get cold, you kind of fucking lose your ability to be rational or logical, but all 9. All season.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
That's, again, which is why it's one of the great mysteries of the 20th century.
All right.
Okay. Investigators on the case began to wonder if Yuri and Georgie's efforts to climb the tree were a futile attempt to escape, or if they might have been trying to gain a better vantage point to see their tent, which was much higher up on the slope and was still, ostensibly, under siege by whatever unknown menace had compelled them to take flight. So maybe they were trying to get away from something? And it seems more likely that was the case if their hands are all torn up.
Right.
Or maybe they were just desperately trying to get up there to see if whatever the fuck it was that scared them was still there. I know. At some point during the night, I know Chris is like, but
no, so far it just sounds like they're high as fuck.
Yeah, or they're just have hypothermia, and they're all freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, but all?
I mean, if it's 5 degrees and the entire
dude,
thing.
We live in upstate New York. 5 degrees Fahrenheit is bad, I guess, if
Right.
all that's
Yeah,
separating
I
you
guess
from the elements is a
right.
fucking thin flap of canvas, but that's not
It's
ridiculous,
not
lose your
hypothermia.
shit cold.
Okay. All
I
right,
don't
well,
know. Even if there's one rational person, they might just follow the crowd because they don't want to be alone.
Yeah, they're a follower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying that. I wouldn't want to be alone in fucking Siberia either, wherever they are.
The Earls.
Yeah, the Earls.
I guess it could be Siberia.
And Cut My Face Off Mountain.
Siberia's really big.
It is pretty huge, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
And perhaps the Goro or Toten is in there.
Could be.
We could probably Google that, but
We won't.
no. At some point during the night, investigators proposed that Yuri and Georgie, unwilling or unable to return to what was left of the shelter, likely had succumbed to exposure. And again, that's fucked up. Because if they're still less than 1,000 feet away,
Yeah.
You can see it.
and they're,
There, yeah.
using all their energy to try to climb this fucking tree and start a fire,
Right.
they could have made it back to whatever was left. It was then that 3 members of the team, Zinadja, Rustam, and Igor, determined that facing whatever it was that had frightened them from their tent was preferable to dying of hypothermia. Resolute and almost certainly terrified, the exhausted Troika attempted to make their way back up the slope. None of them would survive the trip. With their young leader out of sight, one can only assume that the remaining team members, Alex, Nicholas, Alexander, and Ludmilla, hoped for the best, but expected the worst. Likely frightened beyond belief, the 4 remaining survivors strip whatever they can from the corpses of their comrades in a desperate bid for survival. Fearing that their friends were all dead, investigators hypothesized that Alex, Nicholas, Ludmilla, and Alexander decided to move toward the forest in an attempt to find some kind of shelter. It would be somewhere along this journey an eventual descent into a nearby ravine, named whatever horrible way you want to name it.
7 chainsaws and fucking 3 brains. That was one of Chris's titles from back in the day. But
7
yeah.
chainsaws,
What?
3 brain ravine.
7 chainsaws and 3 brains.
Love
I
it.
don't even know what that alludes to.
That was one of Chris's
Somebody
old
translate
titles.
into that into Russian
There
immediately.
you go. Boom.
Because that's fucking awesome.
Next T-shirt, hellerspace.com.
Wow. The 3 remaining teammates would sustain their fatal injuries. So when they fall into 7 chainsaws and 3 brains,
What happens?
that's fucking done. So injuries for which the agents could find no obvious cause. I think that was the traffic accidents in the chest.
Right. They were
Injuries.
discovered under like 12 feet of snow, buried.
The first to perish, according to forensics reports, was Nicholas. Within hours, he was followed by Alex and Ludmilla. Alexander would be the last to expire from a combination of internal trauma and hypothermia. So it's not just the crushing weight of snow and ice
But
after the
hypothermia
fact.
as well, yeah.
No, but I mean after the fact, doing
Right.
damage onto the bodies. Like, at least according to what the forensics on the team that did the, I don't know, autopsies or whatever.
Right.
They suggest that those injuries actually helped cause the death,
Right.
and were just aftermath.
Okay. 1950s Russian autopsies. It's
The
a
best.
series.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Investigators were unclear, however, if the removal of Ludmilla's tongue occurred post-mortem or if it contributed to her demise. When all was said and done, the final survivor died less than 8 hours after the initial event.
Oh, that's a long
That is
time.
That's a long time,
Oof,
but
that
it's actually,
sucks.
it's really astonishing how fucking brutal and mayhem-ridden that 8 hours is.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of building fires and hoping for the best and stealing your fucking dead buddy's socks. No cannibalism, but fucking mayhem.
All while you're 1,000 feet from a tent.
No one, exactly.
Yeah.
No one's making an attempt to get back, and when they finally do, when fucking Igor, I keep saying it fucking Frankenstein style, tries to make it back
Right.
with the 2 others, they're already so fucked and frozen, they die on the way.
Yeah.
So even when they're like, whatever was so terrifying, fuck it, we got to try. There's a wood
This
stove.
is a fucking mountain of bad decisions.
It's the Mountain of the Dead.
Mountain of the Dead.
That's how it does. As with everything else in this case, the discovery of the missing team members offered more questions than answers. And the most important one was, what happened? While investigators were able to piece together much of what had transpired that terrible evening from the physical evidence left at the scene, the primary questions remained unanswered. What was it that scared these individuals so badly that they were willing to freeze to death rather than face it? And who or what had lethally injured the remaining survivors? Despite the popularity of the region for over 3 years following this harrowing event, the pass was closed to outdoorsmen, hikers, and skiers. This was presumably to avert the same terrifying fate from befalling anyone else, though others have suggested it may have been to conceal the evidence of a terrible crime.
So the mountain of unspeakable horrors and skulls is closed to
Closed
local
down.
fishermen. All right,
Just
fine.
donezo.
Right.
I don't know how many fishermen are just fishing on the random
mountain?
lake,
Why wouldn't you-
lakeless mountain.
Yeah, fishing the lakeless mountain, dude. It's where you catch fucking eagles, Russian eagles and shit.
But fishing for eagles on the lakeless
fucking
mountain.
Russian eagles, yeah.
Fair enough.
All right, fine.
You're right.
That's how fishing works.
After managing to piece together the final tragic hours in the lives of these youthful athletes, the investigators in charge of the perplexing case were ordered to shut it down. Lev Ivanov, who led the official inquest in 1959, reported that he received direct orders from a high-ranking official to dismiss the inquest.
Fucking government coming down on you.
Always.
Dude. Always. Covering shit up.
Although he was desperate to discover what really happened and was reluctant to concede to the command, Ivanov realized that even in post-Stalin Russia, that one ignored orders such as this at the peril of one's career, liberty, and even life.
Got into the gulag. Doing it.
The whole affair was labeled as unsolved, and the bureaucrats attempted to bury it deep in a clandestine government archive where it was hoped it would languish until forgotten. That was something that would be impossible for the friends and family members of the young victims, not to mention the mystery-starved citizens who were both fascinated and horrified by the seemingly inexplicable events. When pushed for an answer as to what truly happened to these model Soviet student athletes, the final word on the event was as enigmatic as it was cryptic. The official statement said simply that the youths had fallen prey to a compelling unknown force.
That's cause of death, compelling.
Compelling
yeah,
unknown
that's
force.
pretty shitty.
Yeah, that's a fucking shit way to go.
And it's a shitty way to explain it.
It was compelling. I don't know what the fuck it is, but it compelled them.
Yeah, and compelling, I guess because it forced them to stop being alive and become dead.
That's how you compel somebody.
That's compulsion at its finest.
There you go.
In the end, we must never forget that this is first and foremost a tragedy in which 9 lives were cut short. But despite the efforts of debunkers to demystify this extraordinary event, it remains one of the great unsolved mysteries of the 20th motherfucking century. And it's a big one. Dyatlov is like a classic. Now, I love the fact that when I first wrote about this, I don't know, some 10 or 11 years ago, maybe a little less, I don't know, maybe in the early 10s, it was not really well known. I remember digging it up. Now, I'm not going to say that I helped, bring this back, but I'd like to think I was at least one of the online midwives that brought people's attention back to this. So when
You're
I
like the hipster of Dyatlov.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
I'm the fedora wearing.
Like I was there first,
douche of
man.
Dyatlov, and I actually consulted on a BBC special and a few other things.
Oh, very cool.
Because
very cool.
I put out this big article again, not the first.
Was
by
it
a
on
long
Mysterious
shot.
Universe or
Yeah.
was? Oh, it was on
Yeah,
Mysterious
well,
Universe.
I say I wrote it maybe 2010 or 11.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly.
Cool.
And some new evidence has come to light since then. But basically, what we have is 9 dead kids, young adults. And
yeah, they're not kids. Like,
yeah, they're 20
they
something.
are, yeah, young adults.
They're young enough,
Right.
and like I say, a perplexing, fuck sucking whodunit that just remains unsolved to this day.
Yeah, no, it's pretty fucking bizarre and obviously tragic as well. So, so theory-wise, what do we have as far as theories? Because I'm a little bit familiar with this.
Right.
I did, we talked last night. I started to brush up on and started watching a bunch of YouTube videos. Boy, those are fun.
Yeah,
Those are real fucking. Not to discredit the YouTube videos out there. Some of them are actually very well done.
I agree.
Some of them are drier than shit.
Yeah,
And
dry as a popcorn fart, as my dad used to
A
say.
lot of slideshows. Lots of slideshows of the same dead kids in the snow.
Well, that's
So-
the thing. I mean, how many times
Yeah.
do great mysteries have so many fucking photos?
It's true. No, it's true.
So-
it's true. So not to discredit the fucking, the Amazon Prime fucking documentaries out there, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is.
All right, so let's break this down like the more prosaic pedestrian, if
Are
you
we
will,
starting like
explanation.
skeptically speaking and or like what, like, more like
I'm just going to propose
Earthbound? Okay.
different, what
it's
different
not,
people said.
There's not. You can't really have a skeptic view. There's
Well, yeah,
facts, and then
it's-
you just kind of.
what? Yeah.
Like-
And you have to try to
actually,
put-
no.
There's nothing. There's nothing abjectly paranormal or even really remotely about
yes.
this.
Yeah, Chris.
Actually, there were no footsteps, which is why I was going to say robot birds, but then I remembered birds didn't start murdering for the government until the 70s, so it was
That's
a little
true.
too early.
Oh, the 70s when the birds murdered for the
Yeah.
government and people had feet. Cool.
I've said too much.
You have. See, this is how you're going to get
There are
yourself kicked out
moments
of college.
When I am so proud of you. This is one of them.
No,
Honestly.
there were no
When
footprints.
Big Bird murdered for the
They
fucking
had-
government.
Had to have been something flying. How are there no footprints? Dementors.
Okay, well, was
Snow.
Harry Potter around then? Do you say snow?
In 59.
Chris, the answer, snow.
Oh, did they all drown in snow?
Some wind.
Some wind, possibly.
I like robot birds. Peg.
No, it's ruled out.
Everyone
They didn't
loves
start
robot.
murdering till the 70s.
Fair
the
enough.
robot birds. Okay. So if we're talking about like the most, but like Chris had said earlier, yeah, this isn't really skeptically speaking, because this really is more, I guess, of a true crime,
It is.
possibly, or true tragedy.
But
because we could
trust
be just
me,
dealing with fucking hypothermia.
There are plenty of theories that involve
bet
things
there
that
are.
untoward.
Yeah. Yeah.
I bet there are.
But let's deal with some of the straightforward.
All right, so hypothermia, these people are on the mountain. Yes, granted, they are in the esteemed Polytechnic Institute of Russia.
The Earls, but
And-
yeah.
And they know their shit, and they're seasoned mountaineers or whatever, and they're fucking out there, and they're fucking doing their jam. They're being the best Russians that they can be for the fucking government, and then all of a sudden something fucking happens, and they fucking lose their shit, and they get disoriented, and they're fucking naked, and they're stealing clothes and eating feet, and people are all fucked up.
Nobody ate a foot.
No one. Okay, no. There's no cannibalism. You're right. There was no cannibalism.
True.
I was gonna bring that up.
Not enough time.
Okay, so
Nope.
it's not bath salts.
It's not bath salts. They did not bath salt themselves in
That's
1950s
fair.
Russia.
That's truly fair.
So, I mean,
So we've taken robot birds and bath salts off the
robot
table.
birds
I'm
and
proud of
bath
that.
salts did not happen.
Right.
But conversely, though, it really does sound like maybe they just, for some reason, got disoriented and just fucking. You got to figure you're on the goddamn side of a mountain, and you're camping, and well, you know, we talked about drugs briefly, but I don't know what kind of psychedelics are around in the fucking 50s. Probably.
I mean,
Mushrooms.
the
LSD was until like the 60s.
No,
or no, was it?
no,
Was
they
it the
had
50s?
Yeah, no, it existed scientifically. Now,
Because the U.S. government developed
if
it.
you want to,
Okay.
if you want to throw it out there, and
Did they?
it's a
They
valid
did,
theory.
yes.
It's a valid theory that maybe kind of like MK Ultra. I'm not saying I support this theory, but like
you don't
a
support
Soviet-
MK Ultra?
A Soviet version of MK Ultra decided that these young, promising fucking students and engineers and
Dosed 'em?
whatnot,
All right, yeah.
we're gonna dose them randomly on this mountainside and see what happens. I don't sense that that's a really good test thing, because it took them weeks to find the bodies, and the
Right.
government was part of the search.
Right.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't think that they either had access to hallucinogenics, at least intentionally,
All right.
or were dosed by a government that was looking to see what would happen, because otherwise they would have probably been just under surveillance a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, if you get that shit faced to the point where you're just totally fucking
Well,
out
who
in the
knows?
snow
Maybe they
naked,
were doing tons of stuff.
It would have
and
showed
they
up in the
could've been there.
autopsy, wouldn't it?
the alcohol or drugs.
They had,
Either.
if they-
4 of them
No?
had been drinking.
Right.
Yeah,
Definitely.
drugs would have showed up in the autopsy, right?
Yes.
1950s
Again,
Russia.
yeah, we're
what they're
talking
looking for. depends.
59 Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah.
it's not like
They might
fucking
just look at it and just be
Ashbury
like-
69.
They might look at the body and just be like dead, and that's it. Autopsy
Wow.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
59. This was the time they were making the Winter Soldier there.
Okay, now you're going into Marvel.
Okay.
We're dealing
You are
with history.
correct. You are
And-
correct with. Well, no, the Winter
Yeah.
Soldier was like in
No, it was
Nazi
during Cold
era.
War, wasn't it? No.
No, wasn't it in?
Well,
the-
yeah, it was in the 40s. God damn it! Why you baiting
Yeah, all
me
right,
into this?
all right.
All right.
He fell off the
can't-
fucking train
We
and the
can't.
Soviets
We
got
can't
him.
digress.
It was
he fell off the
Theory.
fucking train,
He
and
did.
the fucking Nazis got him and
Right.
tore
I know
his arm
Bucky's
off.
hot. He's got a metal arm.
We
I
all
know.
love. Yes, we
What?
all love Bucky.
No, it was
What's up,
about
Bucky?
the government experiments.
Okay, so
Hold on. One of the theories, the first theory that the investigators liked, was that the actual Mansai tribe that had named the mountains Don't Go There and Mountain of the Dead were responsible for the deaths.
because the tribe was living there.
Yes. Because you have to
well,
remember.
that's a whole new
Just
aspect of the story.
Let me present this and then quickly debunk it.
Okay.
The actual investigators that were on the scene were the first to put a kibosh on that for 2 key reasons. One, additional footprints were not found. Yes, it was weeks later and snow blows, but they found the tracks of the victims as they
Running.
orbited out exactly,
Right.
ran, and then peacefully walked to their demise.
They freaked the fuck out and
but they did
calmed
not
down.
find additional footprints. Secondly, no bullets were expended.
They had guns.
Yes, the Mansai had guns in 1950.
No, I mean,
nine.
I thought you meant like the people that perished in the expedition had guns.
No. I don't believe
Okay,
any of them had
so
guns.
the tribe though had guns.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
But no bullets were used. Some of the people obviously died traumatically.
Right.
But there was no like obvious evidence of like a butt of a gun or anything like that. Even though some
Getting
people thought,
pistol
snap.
whipped.
So no additional footprints. The Manti actually were very peaceable people that were helping in this search and rescue.
Okay. All right.
They had a really good relationship with the Soviet government, and the Soviets wanted to get the oil off their land without having like regional guerrilla warfare.
Okay.
So
Fair.
So they had managed to have a good existence. So the lack of the footprints, the lack of bullets being expended, and most importantly, all of their precious stores were found untouched. Clothes, food, kindling, whatever else. Like if it was
So
a
they
raid,
didn't,
if
like,
it was
kill
a
them and,
raid
like,
by an
ransack their
Aboriginal
shit.
tribe,
Yeah.
exactly, they would have taken the tribesmen would have taken the shit
Right.
and put it to good use.
Yeah,
None of
okay.
it was touched.
All
so
right.
even the investigators at the scene at the time put that right off the
So
table.
the Mansi tribe isn't going to do this. This
Right.
is not how they roll. This is not their jam. And they're there helping.
And if they had found footprints or done other things, they would have been more than glad to ring up these people. I mean, what better than
What better way to
indigenous
get their
peoples,
shit? Yeah, exactly,
You know, people will love to fuck them over.
Yeah, exactly.
But that just really wasn't an option.
Okay.
Maybe it was a rogue group.
Oh,
Splinter
the
group.
Rogue Mansi group.
Splinter Mansi?
Yeah, exactly.
That could float.
Like the fucking Mandalorians
the
in Death
floating
Watch.
Mansi.
Yeah.
The Mandalorians in Death Watch. You'll get it one day.
Yeah, I will. If
You
I
will.
watch it.
You
When I
will.
watch it.
Well, you will.
That's not the point.
You will.
Point is, it wasn't them.
You will.
You will be.
You will be.
The second one, and this is one a lot of people glom onto, is the idea that this was a very remote region of the Soviet Union and that it might have been a place where government weapons would have been tested. Things that could have been
Soviet
weird
death
sonic
ray.
weapons or a death ray.
Soviet death ray.
But bear in mind that
Gorbachev death ray.
though some of the victims had slight burns on them.
Pre-Gorbachev.
Wait, Khrushchev.
Sorry.
But
Come on, Mark.
I don't know this
Dude.
shit.
Fuck's sake.
59.
Whatever.
Khrushchev.
I wasn't alive. I don't care. Sorry.
You make me so sad for America.
You make me sad for me. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Rebuttal stores. All right.
So, possible government weapon.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like some sort
Which
of
actually,
airborne weapon that they were testing on the side of the mountain.
You know, or
and that
dude,
maybe the
think about it.
flash or a boom was so loud,
Dude.
they got so scared that they ran out.
What year was Sputnik?
Is some mid-50s. I don't know.
All right, so think about it. Satellite weapon.
Peyton, will you find out when Sputnik was?
You're going to be our Googler for
Yes.
this fucking episode.
I know.
Thank you, Peyton.
Oh my God, we've needed this all
I know. We
along.
really need Peyton here every week to
Dude.
Google shit for
So
us.
you
'cause
think it's a ground to space gun?
it could be a space to ground.
a satellite cannon?
It could be a space to ground gun. Yeah, totally.
1957, October 4th,
Ooh.
7:28 p.m.
Okay, so pre Sputnik. No, post Sputnik.
Yeah, this was 1959. That's
57
post.
happens before fucking 59.
I didn't remember it was 59. I couldn't remember.
I thought,
I thought it was
I
Dyatlov.
thought this was like a BCAD situation.
No.
You forgot how time worked.
Yeah. Is this before Christ? No.
Is 9 actually higher than 7?
Is this Entombed or Entombed AD?
The
Which one
alleged
is it?
order of numbers.
Oh my God! Speaking real quick, Entombed and Entombed AD. You know that there's a Carnivore AD?
No.
Yeah, I think that's like the two dudes from Carnivore and like a new dude doing the fucking doing the bass and singing. Check it out. It's not terrible.
Bless their hearts.
All right,
Okay.
sweet. Carnivore AD, check it out. So
Indeed.
satellite-based weaponry from the fucking Russians. Think about this. If you were going to test it and you're the government and you're like, we don't give a fuck because we just don't. That would be kind of the perfect spot to do it.
I agree. It would be a good spot. But here's the thing I question. A lot of people say if they saw a flash of light and heard an explosion in the sky, say it was a
Right.
air detonation, why would you fucking rip your way out of the side of the tent and run out naked? You'd be shocked.
Maybe you're
But
just
you would still think,
already naked and you're already
I
scared.
don't want to die.
If you're mid-weird mountain orgy and you're already freaked out,
Yeah,
Alright, so
if you're
mid-mountain
completely
orgy.
hammered, maybe.
if you're totally hammered and you're in the middle of an
4 of
orgy
them
and
were
there's an
found to have
explosion.
alcohol in their systems, but
Yeah.
I don't think all of them were.
Okay.
And you just keep the drunkards from ripping through the fucking tent.
I still
Or the
think there was
drunkards overpower
some
you.
other drugs involved.
There could have been other drugs too. Drugs,
Yeah,
Soviet
but that's-
weaponry, and
but
orgies.
that's so easy to be like, oh yeah, drugs must have been involved. Washing my hands of it. That's
Okay.
just.
It's not too
dismissive.
easy. It makes sense because drugs exist and people do them.
Yeah, but Soviet era, 1959.
Two
Why
out
do you,
of
why
four
do
of
you
us
think they
currently
picked
love
a
drugs.
remote place in the snow to do it?
So you think they fucking skied all the way out to fucking
Yes!
Don't go their dead hill to
Dude,
fucking
is this a really
Yes.
shitty place to do ayahuasca?
How many shitty places do we go to drink beer? When
Should we
were
go
on
there?
You know what?
vacations?
It's a good fucking point. How many many
Exactly.
times have we been to Severed Head Quarry to fucking drink beers?
Shitty railroad tracks, scary
Yeah,
fucking
literally
empty
behind
barns.
Chris's
Oh,
house.
the haunted
Fucking,
quarry?
yeah.
Yeah, no,
We've all gone
dude,
there to
literally,
drink.
the ceiling is
And if
literally
we
gonna
had
fall on you
skills,
at any moment.
we'd
you're
use
in
skills
there
to
too.
go to a dope place to
Dude,
drink.
if we could ski, we'd go to Greek Peak and be like, fuck the world at night, and we'd ski and
Oh
drink.
my God, let's go to Greek Peak. I live
Let's
right
do
near
it.
it.
Fucking we're doing it.
I'm like 10 minutes away. Let's go.
Then we'll die in the snow.
I don't know what to do with you three.
All right,
I
so
honestly don't understand.
I was just saying it
this.
explains certain behaviors, not what happened.
right.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's nothing you get high on that makes it look like a fucking Buick hit you in the rib cage in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah,
that-
well, that's why I said explains their behavior, not what happened to them.
Could explain their behavior.
Possibly, but
They were just
but then
horny.
again, they were tox screened.
Yes,
I'll
they were.
agree with Peyton. Certainly, there was porking in abundance. I mean, it's
Well, I mean-
cut loose,
Good for
straight in
them.
clothes.
Yeah.
Why would you be half naked when it's that cold
Yeah.
anyway? Unless
Yeah, that's true.
Why
Yeah.
not?
Right.
So I'm cool with that. In the prime of their
Hey,
youth, let them have fun.
You know what? Have you be the best you that you can be.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the
Wang
tox
Chung.
screens
Wayne Chung.
did not indicate any drugs, at least that I could identify.
Okay.
Unless, of course, you want to go deep into conspiracy land and assume that the government is the one that dosed them, ergo. But then that that doesn't explain a lot of their injuries
If it was
and the rest.
but if it was some sort of like Soviet weapons test, maybe because of how isolated this area is, maybe they weren't necessarily targeted. They just happened to get caught in the fucking beam of the fucking Death Star.
So
it's a mini Alderaan.
It's a mini Alderaan. Yeah, they had a miniature Alderaan happen.
Makes
yeah.
sense.
what does this beam do?
Well, if it's some sort of like satellite technology or something, kind of like we have like with Star Wars, quote unquote, allegedly with Star Wars.
Remember, 2 years after the very first man-made satellite.
Exactly. So
2 years.
If they were testing
Lasers.
They got lasers.
If it was some sort of like weapons platform, it doesn't have to be lasers. It could be like ultrasonics.
No, it's lasers.
Yeah,
I just think you're barking up the wrong tree with
Okay,
that one.
I want to
I mean,
think
why-
the
why
government.
You
Why
wanted to
can't
be
it
a
be a
weapon
missile?
from space so
I
bad.
want it to be like a Star Killer base.
Here's something that you might enjoy.
Okay, maybe it's a little meteor.
It's a little. That's a possibility too. Yeah, a little.
That's my meteor sound.
Meteor hits.
Sort of like that one that fucked up all those buildings in Russia a few
It
years
happened
ago.
in Russia. It was
If it-
caught on a fucking dash cam.
Well, all right, we're going to get to some other things that we're seeing.
All right.
Other people were around the area where they could see it.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be one of the next things we talk about. There were no big explosions in the sky that these people saw, and there were no meteor landings or anything
Okay,
like that.
all right.
There were some other things, but we'll do that in a second. But what I will say is one of the theories that's been proposed is that it was some sort of auditory weapon, some sort of sonic thing.
Dude.
And subsonic
Yeah.
frequencies.
That shit's real,
If you
dude.
get exposed to it,
Yeah.
people think they're sometimes having paranormal encounters.
That
It
makes
makes
so
a
much
great sense of
It
anxiety.
throws your whole fucking
It fucks up
equilibrium
your
off.
equilibrium, exactly.
Didn't
Yeah.
where the
So
fuck
if you
was
were
it
all
that they?
fucked up, gut level terrified, tripping on your own feet and just needing to get out.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think I believe it, but if I do believe it's one kind of weapon,
The government.
an auditory subsonic weapon might be one. Though why direct it at a random tent in the middle of fuck all?
I mean, it's
To test it. Does
Yeah.
anybody hear that?
No.
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 Yeah.
Is it subsonic?
You can hear subsonics.
Yes, it can.
Oh,
Aren't there
shit.
subsonic weapons being used on the American embassy
There-
in Cuba like last year
Yes,
or
there.
whatever?
Yes, there
Yeah.
was. And
People
people were getting
fucked up.
sick. But there was
Yeah.
also didn't they also test them on like protesters or something like that?
Oh, that's.
I think they
That's what I
did.
heard.
I'm almost positive. But yeah, the whole thing in Cuba was they were like, the Cuban embassy is attacked by subsonics, and we're not sure.
But
how.
they didn't even think it was the Cuban government.
No.
Like the Soviet, not Soviet, I call them Soviet, the Russians or some other
or
Chinese.
They weren't sure who exactly was doing it, but the whole embassy fell ill from sound.
The Bolivians. Those
Bolivian.
rat bastards.
What are the Bolivians doing?
Nothing. I'm just making shit up.
Yeah, because we have listeners.
picked
We have listeners in Bolivia, so let us know what your government's doing.
Oh, I'm so sorry I called you rat bastards. I didn't mean it.
It's okay.
I really
though,
did.
We also have listeners in Russia. We give them a hard time too.
Well, yeah, but we have to. We got to pretend.
Yeah.
We got to keep up the fucking face.
Well,
of
yeah, but
rivalry.
you know what? We love you all and thank you all.
Well, duh.
for
The
listening.
people are awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we love you. It's just your government.
It happens, you
But-
know. It's
hey.
part. It's part of life.
We're not a political pod.
No, we are not, because
No.
we got a 1-star review once because Chris possibly alluded to our president. I don't even think he really did, but we got a 1-star
Dude,
review.
you just alluded again, Dink. Welcome to the 1-star review
Second
party.
1-star
This
review.
isn't political.
Son of a
This is
bitch.
conspiracy.
Okay, Andrew Yang, 2020 aside. So besides weapons and drugs and orgies and snow and Russians, what other things do we have happening here?
Okay.
Can we go to aliens possibly right now?
We absolutely can.
All right, aliens.
Yes!
What do we got?
Aliens.
Aliens. That's it.
Reptilians?
They
That's
came
all we
down?
got.
Greys?
No, this is interesting.
A UFO crash.
God damn it.
Probably.
A probing.
Oh yeah. Oh, when there's aliens, there's always a probing mark.
There's a probing.
May I read?
Please.
According to an archived account, Ivanov, who you might recall was the lead investigator in the 1959 investigation,
Yes.
collected a report from a group of hikers suggesting that something extraterrestrial may have resulted in the Dyatlov team's tragic demise. The hikers were camping in an area about 32 miles south of the Mountain of the Dead. On the same night, the ski team perished when they spied a series of, and I quote, strange orange spheres in the northern sky. It's worth noting that during the next month and a half, other residents of the area, including some of the soldiers that were in on the search and rescue,
Right.
reported similar anomalous objects. Ivanov himself believed that these spheres might have been involved in the unusual deaths, and in a 1990 interview, he claimed that not only had he been ordered to close the case, but he had done so after he had turned in the reports of these anomalous spheres.
Okay, so we have some sky evidence, I guess, of things.
I wouldn't say evidence.
happening.
It's a sighting.
It's a sighting. Okay, so we have
So
sightings.
we don't see a missile, we don't see
You
an
know-
explosion, but we do see strange orbs above, the Mountain of the Dead. I'm not even going to try to say
Right.
the man's eye words. And so does that mean a direct correlation? No, but it is intriguing.
But it's there.
And but here's the thing: if
Yeah.
it made sounds and it scared them, I mean, here's the thing: if they left the tent and then the tracks were showing them walking away,
Right.
as they were, then you'd
Okay.
be like, all right, that's fucked up. But they tore out in a blind fucking panic,
Right.
ripping
So-
Yeah, that
literally
doesn't make sense.
the only
Yeah, that
structure
doesn't.
that kept them from fucking hypothermia.
Unless it's just panic. If it's just sheer panic,
And
then...
so what causes the panic? That's the real question. So if we're going to break this down a step at a time, and we will deal a little more with paranormal ideas.
Although, real quick, I just want to put this out there just with the sightings or whatever, them seeing these orange orbs. That could also play back into two possible military experiments. I can't talk. Could be military experiments. But I was thinking about this too real quick. What's not saying that it could be some sort of experiment or attack, not only from their own government, but from a different government?
No,
So,
but all right, that is a ballsy maneuver.
Just
I mean,
saying.
besides the U-2 that crashed and that caused that huge controversy, the spy plane that ended up
Right,
going
yeah,
down.
yeah.
You don't usually do an unnecessary incursion into, especially a nuclear-powered country,
Right.
unless
But-
you've got balls of steel or the technology that can pull it off.
or just a way to cover it up.
Okay.
Just saying. I'm just putting it out there, but that does play into the orange orbs. It could possibly be tied to that. Possibly.
It could be.
Or it could be fucking aliens.
Yeah. No.
Probably aliens.
Probably aliens, but...
Yeah.
It's interesting to note.
I don't want to
that,
say that they were murdered by the U.S. government, but they were murdered by the U.S. government.
Jesus Christ.
Just saying.
Ivanov himself
That could be.
ended up believing that
It was aliens.
UFOs were involved in it.
Okay.
That doesn't mean anything, but it's interesting that the lead investigator subscribed to
I
that.
could totally see it being UFOs.
Smart
Again,
man.
there are no tracks.
there
so whatever
were-
got these people got them from the fucking sky, more than likely.
And-
Why more than likely?
Because there were no footprints.
I like how it sounds. No,
God,
Chris is
again.
right. I enjoy it.
Like, I love to see a map of the terrain and exactly where
Right, where
the
it's...
3D contour map of where things are placed. Because now you just picture this mishmash of like a hill and like
Yeah, there's like skulls and
Like,
shit and
it's
faces.
just-
yeah.
Hey, if you want to Google it, there are maps. Chris can be satisfied. So
yeah.
it'll basically show you a tree line,
How do I spell it?
Dyatlov, Dyatlov Pass.
So
Oh, got it.
the alien angle is pretty interesting.
But I'm just going to paint it real quick. You got the trees, a little bit of snow, a
Right.
tent, a lot of snow, more trees and a ravine, and the bodies are interspersed down the hill.
Right.
Yeah.
Almost in like in like an escape pattern.
So we don't necessarily have aliens or anything like that. What we do have is
A sighting of orbs.
hikers 32 miles away that saw something floating above the hill. So it's definitely a UFO, though not necessarily associated with it.
Right.
And what you have is one blurry photo of what looks like a fucking orb on poorly developed black and white film that some people have said it was them trying to take a picture of the UFO, but it also could be them taking a picture of a fucking candle or
you can't really exactly. So okay, so government experiments, government murder, aliens, UFOs. What about like a cryptozoology angle, Rob? What do we have for that?
Oh, do you think we might? Fuck yeah, we do.
I mean, I may have read the email before we came to pick you
All
up.
right, so
but
here's the interesting thing.
Birds.
A lot has been birds. Yes,
I mean, you're not wrong.
No,
a
death
winged
raptors
creature
from the sky. I love your passion pay. But no, it's more the Russian Yeti, as they call it, the Almas or Almasti sometimes,
cool.
which
Okay,
is
I like
sometimes
Yetis.
described
Yetis are
as
cool.
more of a Neanderthal proto-human than actually the kind of Gigantopithecus ape-like creature.
Right.
That
So
more
some
typically
sort of
is
like
what a Yeti or a Bigfoot is.
some sort of offshoot of creation. Right?
So what people
Is that a thing?
Get excited about is this one photograph,
Okay.
which shows this like blurry, dark silhouetted figure that looks sort of necklace leaning out from the tree. And one of the entries in one of the dead skiers' journals, which said, "We now know the snowman exists," or something to that effect.
Oh, it's a Yeti.
Oh shit! It's in the journal.
Yeah.
And there's sort of a picture.
Oh, you didn't
A
mention that.
real blurry picture. We can probably find it.
All right, but
What other snowman?
yeah, what do they mean by snowman?
Yeti?
Frosty.
Frosty.
Is it
Could
Frosty?
be Frosty. That's the only other snowman I know about.
Down to the schoolyard.
Oh God, really?
Yeah,
You're gonna
exactly.
do the whole thing.
I'm not because I fucking
Burlives the fuck out of us.
fucking hate Frosty the Snowman with a fiery
dare you.
fucking passion.
Yeah,
How
why?
fucking
What did he ever
dare
do?
you?
Frosty. Fuck you.
Happy birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, happy birthday. Fuck
So you're
you.
happy when he died?
I cheered when he melted.
Would you find the so-called Yeti
yeah,
picture page?
exactly. Frosty melted and I was like, good, you deserve it.
You
You're
were
made
the
of snow.
magician. You were always the magician.
I was the rabbit.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's a weird twist.
Exactly.
I don't even know what that says about you talking about you.
Who's in the guy's hat? Me.
Oh
Keep
my
making
God.
me Google
You're-
this stuff. Now the government's
you're
gonna
making
kill
it weird.
me.
Why would
You're
they?
not- why would they kill
the
you?
Russian government is over it.
Yeah, they are.
No,
It's-
they,
the Russian
they have a
government's
6-decade
already-
cutoff.
The
Why
Russian-
would they not want to kill me?
the Russian
I
government's
have,
already in your phone.
It's true.
I'm awesome.
And the Soviets have been done since before you were born.
Just some random Russian ex-KGB
In all
agent.
fairness, ex-KGB
She's
agents
awesome.
love to kill the awesome.
Yeah, there you go.
That's fact.
so.
So here's the thing about this.
If we're talking about but like Chris brings up, though, a very good point is that there are no footprints besides their own.
Exactly.
Shit.
So if there's one thing a fucking Yeti has, Russian or otherwise,
Giant, well, not even giant feet, just the presence of feet.
But here's the thing: the hovering Yeti is a little known myth
Yeah, you can't.
that the man's eye have never talked
I'm not-
about
I'm
because
not
it
seeing
doesn't
No.
really exist.
The glider Yeti.
It's okay.
Why not?
That's
There
the
could be-
worst
We
Yeti.
were just talking about glider other.
we were, yeah, the glider Yeti. Okay.
Just the other week about primates. So why can't there be a glider Yeti?
They're awfully heavy though. Can they glide?
How do you know?
I mean,
It's true.
it depends. Are they?
How do
natural
you
Yeti?
know? I don't know. You're
Are they
right, I don't.
spectral Yeti?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm the interdimensional guy here. I'm just saying, quite possibly.
The other thing that really needs to be broached is the fact that when looked in, it's funny because the Animal Planet did like a 2-hour documentary, like in 2014, called like "Killer Yeti Revealed" or something like
Nice.
that. And all they did was break down so thoroughly, like, oh, they found this photo and it was found years after the fact, and it proves that. But in context of the photos, it's pretty clear it was one of the skiers in a blurry photo.
All right, well, don't.
Yeah.
Don't.
No, I'm
don't-
going to do
don't
no
ruin
because
the party.
you know what? We're
You don't know
legit
that.
with our listeners. We don't fuck around. We're not
All
here to
right.
fucking pump some bullshit.
All right,
We're here
well-
to get to the core of it.
So this is for them. This
But
is for the listeners.
here's the thing that we can't ignore, and that is there's a fucking reason the man's eyes say, hey, don't go there. The
Right.
mountain they're heading towards, and oh wait, the mountain you're on, they're dead.
Yeah.
It's
true.
because ye old curse.
Did anyone talk to the man's
Metaphysical
eye?
entities
cursed
that probably
mountain.
aren't enslaved to gravity that
No.
might be able to shake and terrorize your tent with their fucking banshee-like horrors, force you to rush out the other
wait,
side.
wait.
And if you see fucking weird Yeti wraiths or whatever,
Oh, fucking Chris, going back to Chris's race.
Oh yeah, right.
Chris brings
Wraiths.
up race all the time.
I do.
Soviet Wendigo wraiths.
Mountain wraiths.
A mountain wraith.
Why not a mountain wraith?
I mean,
I mean, literally, why not a
it
mountain
actually
wraith?
sounds better than a UFO and better than the government and or murder by the U.S. government. It does sound better.
I love it.
I do.
I love
it
the
too.
idea. I hate it. I mean, it's terrifying.
Well, no, a spectral mountain killer
But
is fucking
if you
terrifying.
have something
but...
shrieking at you with the ungodly horror of fucking something that, dwells beyond the veil,
Yeah.
and you're like, fuck this, we got to get out of here. It's charging down the mountain at us.
Yeah.
And you rip out, and then you just see these horrific things hovering around your tent. You're like, fuck it, we got to build a fire. Give me Bill's socks.
So maybe
I'm gonna wear fucking
Svetlana's
hat.
if it is some sort of like weird like I don't know, phantasmagorical fucking slasher or some weird like I don't know, curse of the mountain like you said.
Curse of the mountain.
There wouldn't be any fucking evidence of anything.
Well, there wouldn't be footprints.
So there would not be footprints at all.
There would be terror.
I don't know, do ghostly footprints? Have we determined that yet?
No, they don't.
I don't think so.
We should have asked that question.
But can they punch like a fucking Ford Fairlane?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
In
can
your
they?
gut?
I mean, I don't know. Can they?
I don't know. If we want it to be super fucking legit, here's what makes this so intriguing.
What would it be?
How do you explain all of the parts? That's the thing. I love that Chris and the rest of us really want to be legit.
Right.
But if we were going straight up legit, there is nothing rational that covers all the bases of what they did, why they did it, and most importantly, what the injuries were.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the other kind of glaring issue there too, is that if the injuries are, in line with an automotive accident. The only thing with that though is again we are talking 1950s Russians. Well, that's not Russian, but 1950s forensics or whatever, and autopsies.
Sure.
So I mean they were.
But this wasn't like backwoods.
No, I know.
Nothing.
But they were found under
Well, it
12
was,
feet
but-
of fucking snow.
That's true.
So 12 feet of snow will crush the fuck out of you.
But you're right. If it was posthumous
Right.
damage,
Posthumously.
yes,
As you-
posthumously,
as I fucking read it as you were reading it. So, I mean, I guess it could maybe lean more towards the phantasmagorical angle, but then again, the only actual real fucking evidence that we have is a torn tent, a bunch of panic, some running, a calm, and then dead. That's the fucking equation.
That's it.
Do you know anything about these like curses?
Yeah, what do you got about these curses? Is there any cursed mountains up there? Like, what's the deal?
It's called the Mountain of the
Yeah, but-
Fucking Dead.
So,
But
I
is there a
guess the
reason
curse
why?
comes with it.
Like,
What?
is there a reason why?
So now I'm supposed to do the research right now.
Yeah.
Now I'm supposed to look into all the angles, all of the sudden out of the
Well,
blue.
I mean, they must have one because the tribe must have something.
I'm
on
sure the
mountain.
tribe has. If
Okay.
they're
All
called
What?
mountains.
Google Mountain of the Dead and see
Yeah,
what
there
comes
you
up.
go.
No, I don't want to.
Well-
I don't want to be cursed.
Welcome
You're
to-
not going to be cursed if you just Google it. You can't get cursed through a Google.
You're not on
Yes,
the
I
dark
can.
web.
Yeah, I don't know, dude.
Can you? No, don't Bloody Mary your phone 3 times.
Stop. Shh,
Whatever.
don't say that name.
Whatever you do.
Don't say that name.
So, all right. Well, I think we have a lot of pretty interesting angles here.
So was it Bloody Mary?
Stop.
On that hillside?
Was it? Yeah. Was it Bloody Mary?
Just for the record, I'm going to tell us. My nieces hated that name.
She hates
and
Blood-
the
she hates
concept.
Bloody Mary?
I don't know why.
Why do you
Oh
hate
my
Bloody
God,
Mary
did you see
so
a light
much?
flash?
I'm gonna fucking stop it.
Honestly, though, I saw a light
not- it's
flash.
not
in
even
that.
Yeah.
funny.
No. Seriously.
Did
it
you
was,
see
it
that
was
real
Bloody
quick?
Mary. Yeah. It was
I will
crazy.
put you in the toaster.
Oh wow.
It's a
Sorry,
toaster.
baby. I say it out of love, but in
All
all
right,
fairness,
so
if
to-
it wasn't Bloody Mary, who could it have been?
I mean, clearly Bloody Mary was involved.
If you
but
say that goddamn name.
so
They've
I
already said it
guess
like 9
really,
times.
I really like the alien angle, but I'm kind of going towards like a phantasmagorical Jason or Leatherface or
who's
Michael
to
Myers.
say at a distance of 32 miles, which the
man.
hikers were,
Right.
fucking mountain wraiths don't look like orange UFOs.
Sure, they could. They could. I don't know what to do with this one. I want it to be
So
aliens, but I don't
nobody
want it to be
does.
fucking super fucking creepy. But it could just really just be that they fucking somehow they fucked up and they were in the middle of a fucking
Well, they clearly fucked up.
a death mountain of snow.
But the thing is,
they clearly Chris is correct. They clearly
I
fucked
still
up.
I challenge anyone to come up with a really reasonable
All right.
explanation
Yeah.
that covers how experienced skiers, despite their youth, throw themselves, tear through their one shelter, run half naked,
Right.
step outside, realize, oh shit, what did we do? Continue to walk some 1,000 feet down.
No, totally. Yeah, it's
Proceed to
weird,
die
yeah.
in bizarre ways, and then add on to that, even those that were willing to die of hypothermia rather than just return to the wood stove and the fucking what remained of the tent.
Right.
And the other ones have these traumatic injuries. Now, if they were posthumous again, which the forensics of the time suggests they weren't,
Right.
and so we just have to take that at face value. What footless assailant could have done this.
Fucking spectral assassin.
So
Really?
I'm not saying I necessarily think it's ghosts or aliens. I certainly don't think it's the fucking Russian Yeti, but I do think that that this is truly a mystery for the ages because it's very difficult to explain why and then what.
Right.
And
Totally.
what results is
Totally.
something, obviously tragic and horrible.
Yeah. All right, Christopher. Bring it home, baby. You got this.
I don't.
I can feel it.
I've got
I can
nothing.
feel it in my bones. You got this.
It's probably Mount Wraith.
See, as I'm talking, he comes through every time. It's probably the fucking Russian mountain wraith.
Just
I mean,
makes
they were
sense.
already fucked up to begin with, but the Mountain Wraith finished the job.
Oh, see, they were all happy. They were skiing. They were getting naked, touchy. All of a sudden, mountain wraith. We were all dead.
Probably. Or was it just a hill giant throwing big ass?
Oh, see, now that's
Oh,
interesting.
see, hold on,
Fucking
wait,
shit.
wait,
The
Chris
Yeti
comes
from the
through.
woodline hucking rocks.
The
You don't need
fucking hill
footprints.
giant.
That's what I'm saying. It
That-
covers,
Hill giant.
explains
It does
the impact
cover-
of the
it
car.
covers
It
everything.
does
Explain
snowball.
it. Shit.
it covers
A
everything.
giant snowball that would melt, thus leaving no evidence.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Oh my
Hill
God,
giants.
Chris, you're so
So-
smart.
An
This is
ice
why
hawking
Chris brings it together.
snow giant, did you say?
Well, yeah, it'd be a hill giant, but it snows.
hill
so
giant.
That's what they do.
Snow hill, giant.
Is it? Are you talking like a primate type thing, or do you mean like something mystical?
We're talking like
a
old
giant
school.
of the hill.
Yeah,
That could be.
like a Russian giant. That could be.
That could be.
That could be.
Leaving the options open.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
All
I
right,
would-
so the possibly spectral, almost certainly not extraterrestrial,
not government
maybe
endorsed.
affiliated with some branches of the Soviet government, but not officially endorsed.
Okay.
Hill giant.
Hill
quote,
giant.
unquote.
Could be
Nice.
birds.
Hucking ice.
You love birds. Hucking
Maybe
ice.
maybe it was hucking ice at the birds and just happened to hit the people.
No.
Probably.
It saw the people and was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a fun
When
night."
snow does the damage, here's the other thing too. If fucking hill giants hucking these big giant snowballs and it hits one side of the tent, they could think it's an avalanche.
They could, and
rip
then
out the
run.
other side.
Yeah.
Once they get outside, they realize, hey, there's no fucking avalanche. This is stupid. They see said hill giant. They're like,
There you
well,
go.
fuck, we can't stay here either.
Yeah.
Let's go down the hill and build a fire.
Yep.
Fucking Georgie and fucking Yuri are climbing up a tree to see if the hill giant is still there.
Chris
bloodying up their fucking
uncovered a
shit.
mystery
Yeah.
of the. He just solved the mystery of
Russian
the
hill
ages with a
giant.
fucking
That's it.
hill giant.
Dead Yetis.
Oh my God.
Dead Yetis.
The ghost of a Yeti, a spectral Yeti, also known as a hill giant. I'm not stealing Chris's thunder. We all know that
we
the dead
fucking had it.
Yeti is a
We
hill
had
giant.
it.
Yeah, but why can't it be both a ghost and a
Because
Yeti?
you're pushing
Why
the
can't it be a
boundaries.
ghost Yeti?
All right, I'll
I
give
like
you,
ghost yetis.
All right,
Thank you,
fine.
Peyton.
Have a
Finally,
ghost
family.
Yeti, whatever. I'm still with Chris about just fucking ice giants or whatever. Fine.
He didn't say ice giant. He said
I
hill
added
giant.
ice giant. Let me add my thing.
Oh, so you're just trying to put
Oh,
your
so now
stamp
you're
on
making
Chris's
one
fucking
up.
shit.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm riding Chris's coattails. I've been doing that for fucking 17 goddamn years.
And trying to
Let
reject
me do
me.
it.
Oh,
no,
hurtful.
I've been accepting you, trying to get you onto Chris's coattails with me, but you
I
won't
was riding
join.
the fucking ice hill mountain giant fucking train since
Yeah.
We
word
had
go.
a day of friendship. A day. Remember that
See
day?
what happened? I
No,
know.
remember that
We
day.
enjoyed it all.
Remember
Remember-
that day you didn't invite me
Remember?
to?
Okay, first of all,
You
you
were
were
invited.
invited.
No, I wasn't.
No, you were totally invited.
That I call pshaw
Yeah.
shenanigans.
And Robert, remember the laughter and the singing pirates.
I do remember. I
Exactly.
remember all of it. It was delightful.
Chris and I don't.
Well, Chris was hammered and playing in a rock band.
I chose to work. And,
Good for you.
yeah, Chris,
make money.
Chris works, makes money, gets hammered, and plays in rock bands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Want to get me a job?
You want to do that?
Yeah.
You might get
Okay.
hammered and playing rock bands?
Yeah.
I mean, actually.
I mean, who
Who
doesn't?
doesn't?
yeah, really,
really.
Yeah,
What?
really.
You
Chris
asked
has,
that
Chris
question?
has the fucking deal. It's pretty fucking
Yeah.
dope. All right, closing it out. Peyton, our very special guest, please, what do you think about this?
I really wanted it to be birds.
We know footless
Yeah.
birds,
But,
robotic
like-
birds.
Well, no, birds have feet. Okay, well, they do have feet, but they don't like
Not
walk.
really. They don't. They
They
don't
don't.
even need them. They
Birds
don't need
walk
them.
when they have to.
All right, logically, probably not birds.
All right, logically speaking, yes, not birds.
Hill giant, it makes sense because
Okay.
you know, far away, no footprints. The big snowball, impact of the car.
Melting. There you go.
Government probably watched it happen.
Oh, but what if it was a government-sponsored
Were they
hill
Government-sponsored
giant?
Yeti?
Were they trying to government-sponsored Yeti? Were they trying to weaponize the hill giant?
Probably.
You don't have to weaponize it. You
Oh,
just gotta
no.
get near it. It's a weapon.
No. If you...
Dude, it's like Mel
That's
Gibson.
not true.
It's a living
oh,
weapon.
God damn it. But you still want it. You have to aim the weapon at your enemy. The hill giant was throwing fucking nightmare fucking ice balls at their own people.
True.
You got to put the hill giants on the border. Let them
No,
fucking
you're right.
huck ice
Because a
at the
hill
enemy.
giant is clearly a wild card.
So
clearly.
I'd like to think that
Yeah,
the Soviet
true.
government was weaponizing a dead Yeti wraith, also known as a hill giant.
Okay.
Chris Carnicelli, trademark pending.
All right.
And these poor kids were just collateral damage.
Okay. All right. Peyton, are you along that same lines, or do you have anything else to add to the theory? What do you got? Bring it. Come on.
Also birds.
Voice of a generation.
Obviously,
Come on, do it.
it wasn't the bird. It wasn't the killer trees. I don't know
No.
what else I can give you. Everything gets shot down.
I wonder by who. Uncle Rob.
Wow,
perhaps.
seriously? I was not shooting you down.
Who was shooting you down? Who?
Mark Storrs was shooting you down.
Okay, I was not
See
shooting.
that look?
I was not shooting.
You were going to wear his face once.
Yeah.
And now look.
Now look
who
at
betrayed
you.
who.
You turned
Wow.
on me.
You turned on me.
No, I didn't. Rob did.
Wow.
I'm sorry, Uncle Rob did.
I guess this is why we can't be a foursome. Things get treacherous.
They do. They do.
I just want to say this, though, as a postscript. As of, and this was released by CNN, Monday, February 4th, 2019, Russia reopens investigation into 60-year-old Dyatlov Pass
Shit.
mystery.
So that's getting reopened.
Do you guys want to
So-
join the investigation?
I'm busy.
Oh.
Yeah.
I have like kids.
Oh, you have kids?
Yeah, and a job, and like a podcast and things I have to do.
All right. Well, I'm gonna be going to Russia and joining.
Good, you better talk her out of this
I
one.
think it already happened.
Yeah.
The results
Yeah.
were, I don't know, Payne, you want to Google it quick?
There's,
best way.
yeah, Jesus Christ, we have no time to Google results. Thank you so very much for joining us for the Kryptonaut podcast. Thank you so very much for a very special guest, Peyton. Thank you so much.
Peyton!
Peyton!
You're the best.
Thank you. Thank you so very
Favorite
much.
niece in the whole world.
Only niece,
That's
but
right,
yes,
but
Yeah,
still
favorite
Owen
number
Nice
too.
there.
one.
Oh, second high five of the pod. Woo! So as always, the social medias, the Instas, the Twitters, and the Facebooks. Check us out there.
Not TikTok yet.
Not TikTok. Peyton was trying to explain it was TikTok, but we don't understand dancing or
We're
rhythm.
old and slow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
old and
it's
slow, yeah.
yeah.
It's a different
Maybe-
thing.
You're not
Maybe-
really missing much.
You know what, listeners? If you want to see us on TikTok, let us know. Maybe we'll get a TikTok. I don't know.
Nah,
I mean, that's
it's
all on
it's
you.
confusing for me.
All right. Okay. All right. Cool. Patreon. You can contribute to our Patreon if you would like to. As mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, Robert and I attended the MysticCon in 2019.
We sure as balls did.
At the Finger Lakes Mall. Had a phenomenal fucking time. And we also got a bunch of interviews. Well, 3 interviews, technically 2 maybe. But hey, those episodes, we had a great time interviewing those folks.
Oh, absolutely.
And they
They're
were going to be
awesome.
on the Patreon.
Yeah.
So check those out. It is $1.
And a little sneak preview, we're actually talking to people that are in the more paranormal side and active ghost
Yes,
hunters.
we're talking about ghosts.
So,
yes. And there might
able
be
to
some
pick the brains of folks that are into a part of the paranormal that is not necessarily our forte.
We're talking about ghosts, but there also may be a touch of aliens in there.
Oh, a little smidge.
A little smidge of aliens.
Hint.
A little hint, a little sniff of aliens. So be sure to check that out again. That is $1 will get you a shout out, and $5 will get you a shout out and some monthly bonus audio. TeePublic, hellerspace.com. We got merch for sale.
We sure do.
There's a whole shitload of holiday sales going on.
It's the Christmas
We've been
season.
putting them up on the Instas. Check that out there.
Grandma needs a Heller Space shirt yesterday.
Your grandmother needs every fucking Heller Space shirt ever fucking made.
True that.
Because
Yeah.
grandmas fucking love that shit. So check that out. Thank you all so very much for joining us. And we're talking to you soon.
Bye,
Toby.
Thank you, Peyton.
Could
Hey,
be-
thank you very much.
birds.
Birds. Nice. Nice. Yeah, also, 2 real quick listeners, send us your theories for the Dyatlov
Dyatlov
Pass incident.
Yep.
Yes, let us know
Say-
what you
say
think.
it
'Cause we'd
wrong
like
all
to
the way
get
through.
all the feedback from our listeners. So there you have it. Thank you so very much, and talk to you soon.
Bye.
Hill Giant.
I like Chris's Hill Giant.
I know, it was
Chris
great.
always brings it together at
He
the
does,
end.
I know.
Hill
He's the
Giants.
glue.
We're just fucking babbling, and then Chris is just
Yeah,
like
I know, that's so
clearly.
fun. What we do is we fucking lay out the fucking manure, and we know Chris is going to plant a beautiful seed.
That's right.
That's right.
He's gonna
Chris.
plant corn in our
know.
shit.
You're such a pretty
Corn in our
seed.
shit.
Corn in our
Yeah.
shit.
Chris is the corn in our shit.
No, he plants the corn in our
Oh,
shit.
man. I put the
Wow.
corn in your shit.
Yes.
You plant it to grow.
Sometimes when you eat the corn, it's just there.
Oh, man, I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah, me
rebuilding.
neither.
Dude, I spent all week rebuilding fucking gear reducers. My hands hurt.
Wow.
Okay? My fucking
Listen,
hands
he
hurt.
clapped 3 times
did,
on
3
Saturday.
I did.
Oh,
I
it's been a
did.
tough week for your hands,
It
buddy.
has. They hurt. Thank you for talking to you soon.
Get some lotion on them.
Goodbye.